Hi, and welcome to a special episode on the Divorce Couch, the one when you choose to save your marriage. My name is Simone, and I'm the divorce coach based in Germany.
Hi, I'm Salma, and I'm a divorce coach based in London.
And hi, I'm Claire. I'm the divorce coach based in Coleraine in Northern Ireland.
Okay. So on the couch, we usually come together to share our individual divorcing story. We pair it with professional knowledge, and whatever we feel is beneficial for your viewers, we're going to put it in bite-sized takeaways. But sometimes along the separation journey, we come to topics that is not so much our forte. So today, when somebody chooses to save their marriage, we have invited our very special guest, Anna, onto the couch, and we would like to ask her a few questions, what one or what a couple can do to save their marriage. I think it's important to say that us three as divorce coaches, we not per se say when somebody comes in and says we want to split and we want to divorce, that we will not question that decision, because sometimes it's just a very emotional response because something is not working, which doesn't necessarily mean it's really the next consequential step. Anna is the creator of Intimate Blues. Her partner and her husband are both life coaches. They are dance instructors. And then I think you mentioned that Heinrich, who is your partner, he's also a body worker. I don't know so much about what body work is all about, but I'm pretty sure it's beneficial to your job. So Anna is from Germany. She is currently living in Austria, in Salzburg. And the Intimate Blues is a space where couples can reconnect with their intimacy, and they're saying we're here to bring the sizzle back into the relationship, which I think it's a very direct translation, but I hope it makes sense in English as well. So Anna, thank you so much for joining us on the couch, and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So the first question is obviously, what is Intimate Blues? And why have you created it, and for whom is it?
Intimate Blues is a mindfulness-based couples dance workshop where the emphasis doesn't lie on dancing and doing the correct steps and moves, but to come back together, to connect on a body level, and to just remember, let the bodies remember why you are together. And we created it because even we're together now for 9 years, and I have my own business and he had his own business. He's currently also working again in a company, and we have our dance school, and there's a lot of things going on. We do not have kids, but having a company is also very time consuming. And we just realized how the daily life we were flowing apart because there was this to do and this. And then we talked about, because we were working together, we talked about business things, and we talked about before we fell asleep. And the next day in the morning was like, I have an idea. And we were back into the business. And suddenly at some point we realized, where's our intimacy gone? Why we somehow the connection, we're connected on a mentally level. But we're not, somehow it got a little lost. And we noticed that a lot in the couples in our dance school. And because we also teach like traditional swing dance, like Lindy Hop, and we realized that you see so much of the issues couples have. And in dancing, you see everything that's going on with leading and following, and it's leading, and dancing is like a non-verbal communication style. And you see so much, and dance can help us to fix or to make so many things better without having to talk about it. And that's why we created it. And especially with the pandemic, everybody needs a little more intimacy, being close and having touch, especially.
Can I just say, I love how you talked about the fact that sometimes our bodies need to remember. It's like, wow, that's actually really powerful. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I especially love the description of, dance being like a non-verbal communication, because there is, in order to, some of the dance routines that you mentioned, I suppose there has to be an incredible amount of trust and sort of hearing the directions from the other party without actually speaking. Sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So when couples come to your place, is there a point where you would say we can still repair a relationship? Would you say that's possible with your intimate blues?
It depends on where they are.
Okay.
If they're at a point where they literally can't smell each other anymore, where everything has built up so much, then it doesn't make sense to start with intimate blues. I don't say that there's no way to repair it, because what we also see in dancing, it's important to have a strong we need clear eyes. And if you're not you're not clear in yourself, and if you don't know who you are, what you want, and without any emotions, you can't have a strong connection and a strong dance with each other. So if they're fighting, we had one couple that was fighting all the time, and it was really interesting because we were thought like about 15 minutes into the workshop, we were like, what's going on with them? And they're both therapists. And then we found out that they were fighting for about 6 weeks already, all the time. But they were willing to work on it. And that's also one thing. Both of them have to be willing to save it and to do something for it, and have to make a conscious decision that they want to be with each other. If that doesn't happen, there's no way to repair it, because then if only one puts the work in, there's nothing gonna happen. And for me personally, I'm a fan, because if something does something with me emotionally, it's my responsibility to take care of it. If I'm angry on Heinrich, it's my emotion, so it's my business. And then I take care of why am I angry? Okay, what's behind it? And I try to get into a calm space and figure out how I want to deal with it. And then we talk about it, but without any emotion, without saying, it's your fault, you should do this differently. And that's something that's very helpful. And but to answer your question again, it's too late if you don't see any hope, both of them.
But that's very advanced, right? That's a very reflective stance you already have, knowing that it begins with I. So let's assume we are having somebody who's coming into our clinic, and we're talking to them. Like, for example, yesterday I had a client, and she was actually ready to go, but then she asked me, what does it entail? How do I, do this leaving talk? And then she said, in between, she says, oh, I'm not really know whether this is for a better or worse future. And then I thought, well, but then you're not ready, you know what? And then I'm wondering if there is a space in between where maybe they just got so lost, and it sounds so easy to just leave and not work. Does it happen too, that you feel a couple walks in and actually, I don't know, they just do it half-heartedly, and then something happens? I mean, they have made the commitment. I remember in my separation, I had a friend who said, you know what, are you sure that you have done everything? And I mean, we as coaches, we have tools and we have different methods, and we give them a time frame. Why don't you just reflect on it again? And then my friend go back, what happened to me, she said, you know what, because you have children, I think you should really try everything, so you own that decision. Yeah, we've just had an episode on how important decisions are. We want to own our decision. We don't want to look back and think, ooh, I made a mistake. So do you have couples who come in half-heartedly, but they just want to give it one more try, and then there is something with the dance and the intimacy that you can give them that sparks their long lost, I don't know, attraction to one another. And how do you do that?
We didn't have a couple coming in yet that said this is the last thing we try.
Okay.
We just on this Sunday we had a workshop and we had a couple, and they said, okay, we have to do something because we just realized it's not working the way it is.
Okay.
And we don't know what to do. And that's that we have quite often, that people, they realize they have to do something. They don't know if they need couple therapy, and sometimes you don't even know to which therapist you should go, because there aren't that many in some areas, and they realize they know they need to do something, but they don't know what and how to come back together as a couple. And at some point in the workshop, you realize how she really started to let go of all the tension, and how they started to connect back together. And it was the first step for them. And they said it was the best thing they could have done, this workshop. So I haven't tried it yet with a couple who said it's the last thing they try, but I think it would work quite well when they have a therapist, and in addition, they come to Intimate Blues. Sometimes you have issues at a level where you have to use both, where you have to work with your mind because you're so stuck in special issues and you have all the things going on. And then it's a very great addition to use Intimate Blues and embodiment and to come back.
You know what I love listening to you? The thing that kind of stands out for me is talking therapy. The perception is it's hard work, and it is hard work because you're looking at things and you're analyzing and you're thinking and you're realizing, and there's a lot of energy goes into it. I love the sense of fun that I think I'm hearing comes from what you're doing. So the hard work part of reconnecting is changed, even in the approach to trying something new together, because if a couple haven't done it together before, it's an adventure for both of them. It's something new. Nobody knows how it's going to work out. But I love that sense of, for couples to connect, I think fun has to be part of life. I just think it does. It's a really important part of how we connect with each other. And that's one of the things I'm picking up from what you're doing. And I think, oh my gosh, what an amazing place for people to come to have this option as an option, rather, because talking therapy works so well for so many, but it's not the only way. And a lot of my healing hasn't come from talking therapy. I've needed other different things, and I've been willing to explore and do. But I love the idea as a couple coming to you for something that's different. Can I ask you, when you do the dance, do you do any mindset conversations, or is it just dance? How does it unfold?
You can imagine it a bit like a guided meditation. So we give them a practice to do with dancing. For example, at some point, it's just more or less hugging and moving to the music. And then we guide them through it to focus on how does it feel to be close with your partner? What thoughts do arise? Do you think you have to do something? Do you believe that your partner should do something? Or do you even think that your partner thinks what you should do? Because that's something we always do as well. That and just to notice it and to let it go, like the sound of the music. It's just the music is going on and the one note is disappearing, and just like this, let your thought disappear and move on. And we bring them back to notice, where do you feel your partner, to get back into the feeling. Because the good thing is, the moment we feel something, we can't think. I always compare it to cooking. When you cook and you try the food, the moment you think about something very intensively, you have no idea what you just tasted. So you have to get still to really find out how does it taste. And it's the same with the feeling in general. And it's the same when you're with your partner. And it's actually, when you think about it, it's totally does make sense. You want to have, when you're intimate with your partner, it's about feeling, and it's about touch, and it's about how it feels. But we're constantly in our heads. And the moment when we are in our heads, we don't feel anything. And we have to learn how to get out of our head, and focusing on the touch, on the movement, and on our bodies is a very good way to do it. And it's actually quite interesting when you think about that. Every decision we make is emotion based.
Mm-hmm.
But we're constantly in our heads. We're constantly thinking about it. We're talking about it. We're discussing it. And in the end, it's the feeling that makes the decision.
How true.
We don't feel each other or ourselves anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, I think when I listened to you, it was on a different occasion. What I love is that the little I remember from my dancing times is there is a leader, which is usually the male, and then you are being led as a female. And I remember, I did not like that. And I have, out of my 3 children, my older one is also, when we dance in the kitchen, I can see that she's trying to resist the leading. And I think what I love that you once said is you switch the position. Tell me what that is about.
So we generally always speak from leaders and followers. Even when we teach in German, we use the English words, because you shouldn't use the German word for leader.
Which is a very bad past.
Yes. Yeah. But it's also because women can lead and men can follow. And for us, leading is to make a clear decision, take an action, and give as much information that's needed. And following means to consciously listening without anticipation. And that's when you just take these 2 parts, that's actually what also makes a good conversation. And that's also how to say it, but that's when you focus on when you listen to someone, how often you listen to response, how often you complete the sentence in the head already. And that doesn't work with dancing. You really have to wait. You have to trust your body and to wait for the impulse you get. And leading is also not, I'm telling you what to do, but it's, I invite you to do this movement. And that's in general, and that's why leading isn't that bad, and being led as a woman isn't that bad in general. I actually quite enjoy it, that I sometimes don't have the responsibility and I don't have to take action, and that I can just allow my body to do whatever it does. And our body's most of the time way smarter than we are. And we switch in intimate blues, like you said, Simone, we switch leading and following. Because like a conversation, it's one person says something and the other responds. And this is already the case without switching the roles, because when you follow, sometimes you don't listen, sometimes you understand it differently. So the leader also has to respond on the following of the follow. So it's already a conversation, but we switch it up in intimate blues. And it's quite interesting, because sometimes there are men who do not like it, who are not used to it, of letting go, of trusting, of not being in control. And there's some men who enjoy it, that they don't have to be in control, that they can let go. And it's what we also learned is that when you want to take the lead, you do not try to lead the other person, but you start with taking responsibility for your own movement. And we increase the tension in our body. We get a little bit faster, because when we follow, we're a little bit behind the lead, because of course it's action and reaction. And we start to move our own body, and that switches the role. Because when I start to lead, Heinrich realizes that my body changed, that my movement changed, And then he eases into it. And then he just lets go of his tension and he starts to follow. And we truly believe that there should always be someone who leads and there's always someone who follows. If two people in a team try to lead, then at the same time, then they're just crashing against each other, and then it's not working. It's like then everyone tries to be right and everyone wants to say what's working and nothing is happening. But the leading and following can switch in seconds. And that's so beautiful to see in dance. And also it's actually quite interesting because when we start doing that, we don't tell them before. We start dancing and we do our thing. And at some point we said, okay, now the follower takes over the lead. And it's really always a quite interesting moment because there's so much happening then. They're breaking up a lot of their usual patterns. And the interesting thing is that women normally in daily life are the ones in charge, the ones in control, that are not the ones who are listening. Most of the time, they tell the man what to do. And we see that a lot in dancing. I had a fun situation with one couple once. I was just passing by them in dance class, and she said, you led it wrong. It was wrong. And I said, no, it wasn't. It was just a different move than you thought. Because she thought she knows what he has to do, that she didn't give him the time to do his thing. Because
doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, I think that's a big issue we have, especially as women, because nowadays we have to do so much. We're so much in control. We have work, we have children, and we're used to function. And most of the time, I realize with Heinrich, he's just not as quick as I am in the head sometimes. And I think this should have been done already. And then that's most of the time when he realizes, when he came home and he has stuff in his head from work, and then he realized, oh, I should clear the dishwasher. And I already thought about it 15 minutes before, and I learned to just give it the time that he needs so he can do it himself. And we really, really have to learn again to listen, to wait, to be patient, and that we do not have to control everything. And this really sets us free, to be honest.
Do you know, one of the things that I'm hearing here that I think is fascinating, and I didn't expect this, is, for all of you that are listening to this, I think this has an application for if you're in a should I go, should I stay phase. But I think there's also a very strong application for this if you are divorced and you go into a new relationship.
Yeah.
For change. I'm sitting here thinking, do you work with Zoom? Would I go, what I'm hearing is fascinating to me. And I think how empowering this is to change dynamics in a couple, that words just don't necessarily change in the way that I can feel this would. And I think for people that have been through a divorce and that hurt and heartbreak and all of these things, the dynamics that you're talking about, the leader and the follower, and for going into a new relationship, this is gold for people. I think it's fabulous.
Just adding to what you just said, Claire, to me it also seems like, if you're going in to decide should I stay or should I go, is there also a change in if the couple decide that they are going to part ways, that transition becomes slightly less painful because they've been through that sort of like process of working out what it is that isn't working in their relationship. So does it lead to a more amicable sort of separation, or could it lead to a more amicable separation?
Well, I am just jumping in on what all three of you said. It sounds so liberating, right? Do you know what? It sounds like, and I think we've all been there. You know what? It sounds like we are having it sounds like a very tense life we are all leading, right? You know what, when you described, you know what, the dishwasher had to be cleared and 15 minutes ago. So we are already having our mind onto something that maybe we had decided, you know what, but it's your time to clear the dishwasher. Who am I now to even spend energy on a decision that I have already given away, right? And it sounds so liberating, right? So even if you are not going into intimate blues, I think there is so much there's like gold nuggets in here. I think, you know what, it talks about let go. You know what, whether it's going in, if you've decided your marriage is not working, or you're deciding you want to work on your marriage, but either way, what you've described at the beginning, what hadn't worked means something's got to change. And there is something so innocent and so freeing in what you have described, right? You know, but just let go. Just to go and ease in, right? And has a lot to do with the presence, right? It's not about, you know, what you said, you know what, you already think about the business tomorrow and I have these ideas. It's about coming to the now. And I remember clearly breaking up. That was one of my ex-husband's, I think, issues, that we got so lost. There was no more now. There was so little us. There was so little ease into, you know what, the energy between a couple.
Yeah. And it's actually, when you think about intimacy, when does intimacy arrive? It's when you're close, when you have a basis of trust, and you have to be in the now. Because if you're in the future, that's where the fears and worries are. If you're in the past, that's where the pain and suffering is. If you're with the other person, what they should do, you're still not with you. And you have to be in the now with you, in you, to really experience intimacy, closeness, and to have this connection. The fascinating thing is, it's enough to dance we call it teddy bear dance. So you hug each other and you just move to the music and you focus on the other person, how it feels, how your bodies connect, and it changes so much, because the music is just lowering the cortisol level, the stress hormones already. The connection also lowers the stress hormones, and it's the body starts to produce endorphins and the oxytocin, and there's so much happening on the body level, and you realize how your breathing calmer, your heart rate drops, and there's just so much going on, and you do not need much, and everyone has 3 minutes. It's just no matter how much you have to do, you do have 3 minutes. You can do it when the kids are in bed. You can do it before you go to bed. And even if you're really tired, you can just hug your partner. Your bodies are able to do that, and just move for 3 minutes without having to do anything else. And the good thing about the just hugging and moving is you do not have to think about steps. You do not have to think about moves. You don't have to think about leading and following. And you just can enjoy the time to be with your partner, and you can reconnect.
Do you think, yeah. So you know what I'm wondering is, if all the listeners or the viewers out there feel, I don't think I can do it, I think that's probably a clear sign to yourself. You know what, there is something also to work on personally, right? You know what, it's not so much the expectation whether my partner is willing to do this with me. If you feel listening to this, I don't think I could do this, I think that is a clear sign that it's probably something to go inwardly, right? Why not? Why would you not allow yourself to be vulnerable and trusting, right? You know, when you're saying, you know what, feel it, you know what, if you feel, I don't think I can do that, then that's maybe also something really important to learn today. You know what, maybe it's not always the other person that gets it wrong. Maybe we got lost along the way and have to reconnect with us.
Actually, it's never the other person in my experience.
So, sometimes.
It
Just
no.
is there a I suppose thinking about our audience, you know, a lot of the people that be watching today have already like been past that space of making that decision. They are already, you know, divorced. And one of the things that came to me when you were just talking about this building this intimacy and this like concept of almost like enjoying being with that person. Is this something that could translate along with your children? I mean, if you have a you know, if you're having a difficult relationship with maybe a child, you know, just like you said, the 3 minutes hugging dance, is that something that would could be translated to other relationships?
Yes, definitely. I strongly believe so. We don't have children, so I never tried it with children, but the mechanics are the same. And you get into the body, your body produces hormones, and you don't have to, if you don't want to hug it out, you can just take your hands or you just dance in front of each other. It depends on what trust level you are, and you can just slowly start to reconnect. And it's also dancing it's just dancing, even if you're dancing on your own. I do that quite a lot. I do like movement medicine conscious dance every morning, and if you just put on music and you dance in your kitchen, and you just you know, when you were in the clubs and there was your favorite song coming on and you were like and you had like a difficult conversation with a friend, and then there's this song coming on and you both jump on the dance floor because you can't keep it together, and afterwards you're happy, you're laughing, you're having a good time, and you're like, what were we talking about? And this always works. So if you're having issues with your children, just take a song they like and just goof you around in the kitchen, because
I love
if
that.
you're their mothers, they think you're crazy anyway. So
I'll come back to you with research on that one for an audit.
Yeah. And I have one more question while it's still quiet out here in London. It's just gone.
Oh no.
I'll come back. Oh yes. What would you say to like, because I know a lot of people that feel really self-conscious when it comes to, you know, when you say, oh, just dance, just what do you say to people that they feel silly or they feel self-conscious or I don't know how to dance? Because I suppose everybody knows how to move, therefore everybody knows how to dance.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you say to those clients that come in and they're very conscious of their movements or how they're going to look while they are dancing?
We actually just had one man in our workshop this Sunday, and he said, I don't like dancing. And he gave us the feedback today. I was out of my comfort zone, and it really, really helped me a lot. And we don't have a lot of moves, and because we focus on just moving to the music and just doing steps. And of course, we have a basic step, but you don't have to do it. So we keep it really, really, really simple, and it's doable for everyone. And if you generally want to dance, but you don't feel, if you don't feel good about it, just put on music at home, shut the blinders, just lock yourself in, and just start moving your body. And I realized that when I'm dancing Lindy Hop and I'm dancing with an advanced dancer who does all the fancy moves and who does want to impress me, it doesn't feel good most of the times, because you just like, he's trying to do something. And then I dance with a beginner who makes mistakes, even there are no mistakes, they're just variations, and who doesn't know a lot of moves, but who's fully in it with his heart. And it's so much fun, and I enjoy these kind of dances so much more than the advanced one move after the other, and let me show you what an advanced dancer I am. And so just, it's such a pity and a shame that we have made dancing, that's so natural because every child starts dancing. Everyone knows how to dance. And at some point, we are ashamed at how we move. And especially in the Western world, we have no dance culture. And we just, I'm from Bavaria. That's where the guys are standing at the bar drinking like 4 or 5 beers. And then maybe they start to get on the dance floor when they're drunk enough. And it's such a pity. And because dancing is so natural and you can't look silly the moment you enjoy yourself. And
that's beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
Also doesn't matter what someone else is thinking of you because you can't influence it anyways. Because, for example, if I see someone standing at the bar pretending to be cool, I think, what a poor guy. You can see that he would like to dance, but he doesn't dare. And he maybe thinks he's the coolest because he's standing at the bar not dancing. And then there's this guy goofing around on the dance floor. And I think, oh, what a cool guy. He's dancing. So do whatever you like because others will think of you anyways, whatever they think of you.
I love it. Before we close, I'm just thinking whether we have to rephrase our title because, but going back to what you said, Claire, what is not only about what if you want to save your marriage, but for those, what if you want to enter a new relationship, right? Or along the way. I remember, by the way, I danced with myself when I was at a very, very low point. We had this episode when it's very low. I handed myself over to the universe and I put headphones on and I danced with myself and I tried to connect with myself. I danced in front of the mirror to start loving myself. And it was through dance. I had no idea that I did probably something very natural, but it just is something that I find so beautiful. What you've said is, along the way, and it makes so much sense. I can totally see dancing and intimate or to being intimate or having intimacy be in the same sentence. I think it's just really natural and consequent. It's beautiful. So let's see how we maybe adjust the title.
I think so. But isn't it interesting how, Anna, we haven't met before. And I have to say, one of the things I love is you just exude this sense of serenity and this sense of, there is no hurry, there is no fuss, there's no mistakes, it's just variations. I love the way you approach things and it shines through. And thank you for the gift you've given us because you've certainly given me so much to think about. And honestly, it's certainly sparked something for my future that I would want to put into it because I can really feel the benefits. And I think I have never thought about this, heard of it, explored it, but it's like, what a gift.
Thank you very much. And what I didn't mention before, Heinrich and I met with dancing. We got to know each other with swing dancing. We come from the same area. We were in the club for 4 years, about 10 years before we met. We haven't met each other then. And we started dancing before we got a couple. And so if you're out there dating and just start that, if you met someone, just dance with them because for sure whether it's the right one or not, and you connect on such a deeper level, you wouldn't be able the moment you're just talking. And it's so helpful to dance, and whatever dance you dance, it doesn't matter, but just start dancing. And this helps so much with connecting with people, with finding a partner. There's so many dancers who found each other through dance. And it also helps to reconnect with your body, especially women have a lot of issues. I got through a huge change with my body and it helped me to find peace with my body again. And
brilliant. Can I ask one question? I know we're running short on time. I know that. What advice would you give to somebody listening who has been mocked by a partner for dancing, say at a wedding or something, and their partner's gone, oh, for goodness sake, look at you, you do the same thing all the time, or something like that. So their perception of how they dance is embarrassing and they have been mocked and they feel small. What would you say to that person to start, because their starting point is not positive?
Yeah. two things, because we talked about it. I'm also a coach for the work of Byron Katie, where you work with thoughts and beliefs. And the thought, I can't dance, or I dance ridiculous, is just a belief that keeps you from doing it. And the moment you think you can't dance and you dance, you're constantly in your head thinking, is it looking good? Is it what do the others think about it? How is it looking? And then you tense up and your movement gets small and you get stiff and it doesn't look good if you want to judge it. So that's how our thinking just influences what we're doing. So I would suggest to question this limiting beliefs on the one side, and on the other hand, just go dancing without your partner. Just start dancing there. If you're a woman, there are a lot of conscious dance, woman dancing groups where you're free dancing, where no one cares about what you do because they're so busy with themselves. And go somewhere where you feel safe. Go to a safe space where you can just dance and experience it back. And for example, I was on a conscious dance workshop a couple of weeks ago. Was actually quite interesting, with healing feminine and masculine energy. And there was one guy, and he was just walking around all the time to the music, and he was doing things with his hand. That was his style to dance, and it was great. And just whatever dance it suits you, just do it. And if it's in your own bedroom where no one can see you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And is it possible? I mean, I know that you do, when I looked at your website, you have online classes. We're now doing it in English. Would it be possible for English people to approach you to, I don't know, you and Heinrich at one point maybe put together like an English course?
Yes, we already thought about it.
Yeah.
And of course, our English isn't perfect, but I'm sure we get.
Can I just say, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a barrier at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
If that's okay. So how could they get in contact with you? I mean, we'll put it in our takeaways, but let our viewers know how to contact you. That would be your website.
there's a website, intimateblues.com. You can write us an email at info@intimateblues.com. We're also on Instagram with Intimate Blues and on Facebook. And we start Intimate Monday nights, like 10 minutes live on Instagram in November. It will be in German at first, but if you write us a message and there are enough English-speaking people, then we just switch to English. Or we just make it in both languages. We are very flexible.
And could people that are single do this? The Monday night one, or does it need to be a couple? Just to be clear for the audience.
I think it's, at the moment we are focusing on couples.
Okay, yeah.
But at some point I'm already working on a women's exclusive thing. So in my head, so
Great.
and there might be some sessions that you can do alone as well.
And the current offering that you have, is there like a minimum amount of weeks that you would be on the course, or is it just as you go?
At the moment, it's like a 30 minutes online class we're planning, because at the moment we're doing mostly offline workshops.
Okay.
So we're starting with 30 minutes online classes, and when you can also book us individually, and if you book a private with us, we can just do it however time slot you have. Like 2 hours is a good amount of time for the whole, or for the whole basic workshop, to say. And then if you want to do it at home, 3 to 5 minutes, one song is enough.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Lovely. I think there was so much in there that we will probably put in the takeaways. I love having you on the couch. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I think we are all taking something away.
Yeah. Thank you
much.
like, subscribe to the couch. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you, Anna. Auf Wiedersehen.
Dankeschön. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.